The room buzzed with quiet excitement. Leaders from around the world had gathered for a historic summit, broadcast live to millions. But among them, two figures stood out: former U.S. President Barack Obama and Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. Obama was known for his calm leadership and hopeful words. Traoré, young but fierce, had quickly become a symbol of strength and pride for his country. This meeting was supposed to be a moment of friendship, a chance to heal old wounds and show unity. As cameras zoomed in, Obama smiled warmly and stepped forward. The world watched, waiting for the moment that would show peace between continents. But just as Obama's hand reached out to embrace Traoré, something unexpected happened. Traoré leaned in, not for the hug, but to whisper something in Obama's ear. It was so quiet that no one else could hear. Suddenly, Obama's smile faltered. His eyes widened, and his face twisted in shock. A tear escaped down his cheek. The room fell silent. What could Traoré have said? What painful truth did he share that stopped one of the most powerful men in the world? Millions around the globe held their breath, waiting for answers. The cameras kept rolling, but no one dared speak. For a long moment, the silence was deafening. Obama pulled back, still staring, his face wet with tears. Traoré stood firm, calm but heavy with the weight of his words. Reporters whispered. Viewers cried at home. This was no ordinary meeting. This was a moment that would change how the world saw Africa and how Africa saw itself. Behind Traoré's quiet strength lay stories untold, stories of pain, courage, and hope. And the story was only beginning. After the silence, the world was left wondering what Ibrahim Traoré had whispered to Obama. But to understand that moment, we must go back to the land Traoré calls home. Burkina Faso, a country rich in culture and hope, had faced years of hardship. Violence, poverty, and broken promises had weighed heavily on its people. Traoré, once a soldier, had risen to lead with fierce determination to protect his people's dignity. He carried the pain of every child who went hungry, every family torn apart. His whisper to Obama wasn't just words, it was a lifetime of truth, a plea for the world to see Africa's struggles not as weakness, but as resilience. Behind Traoré's calm eyes was a man who had seen more suffering than most could imagine. When he took office, the challenges seemed endless. Armed groups threatened villages, hunger stalked the streets, and many felt forgotten by the world. But Traoré never gave up. He worked tirelessly, sometimes late into the night, making impossible decisions to keep his country together. Every whisper, every gesture carried the weight of those he represented. So when he leaned close to Obama, it was not to shame or accuse, but to share a truth too painful to speak aloud. The cameras caught the moment perfectly. Obama's expression changed instantly, his eyes filled with tears, his mouth trembling, as if the whisper cut through his heart. This was a man who had faced many challenges himself, yet Traoré's words struck deeper than anything he had heard before. The former president understood the raw honesty in that brief moment, the story of a continent's pain and unyielding spirit. As the cameras continued rolling, Obama's tearful reaction became a symbol, proof that even the most powerful can be moved by truth. After that haunting moment, news outlets everywhere scrambled to understand what had been said. Social media exploded with questions and speculation. Was it a hidden secret? A plea? A warning? No one knew. Only Obama and Traoré shared that whisper. But what everyone could see was the raw emotion on Obama's face, tears that spoke louder than words. People from every corner of the world began to feel the weight of that silent exchange. For many Africans, it was a moment of recognition, a long overdue acknowledgement of pain and dignity. For others, it was a shock, a sudden awakening to realities they had never fully seen. To understand the depth of that whisper, we must look closer at Traoré's life. Born in a small village, he grew up watching his community suffer from poverty and violence. He lost close friends to conflict. He saw families torn apart. As a young man, Traoré joined the military not out of ambition, but from a deep sense of duty to protect his people. His rise to leadership was marked by courage, sacrifice, and an unshakable belief that Africa deserved respect and justice. This man wasn't just a leader, he was the voice of millions who had been silenced. What could Traoré have whispered that stopped Obama so deeply? Some say it was a reminder of broken promises, of aid that never arrived, of voices ignored. Others believe it was a call for true partnership, one that respects Africa's strength and dignity. Whatever the words, they carried the heavy weight of history. They were a cry for justice, a plea for honesty, and an unspoken demand for change. And in that brief, quiet moment, the world was reminded that behind politics and power, there are real people, real pain, and real hope. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's whisper was more than words. It was the echo of centuries. Africa's history had been written with struggle, colonialism, exploitation, broken promises from the powerful. Traoré carried this burden every day. In his eyes, Obama saw not just a man, but the face of a continent still fighting to reclaim its dignity. The whisper was a reminder that beneath the bright summit lights lay painful memories. The fight for justice was far from over. Traoré's thoughts drifted to the children in his country, those who woke hungry, those who dreamed of a better future, but faced harsh realities. He thought of mothers who lost sons in violence, and farmers whose fields had dried under the scorching sun. His leadership wasn't about power, it was about hope. When he whispered to Obama, he was speaking for those faces, for every silent tear and unheard cry. This was the true message, a plea for understanding, for action, and for respect. Obama's tears were not weakness. They were the response of a man moved beyond words. The world saw that moment unfold, a tear slipping down a face known for strength. It was a powerful symbol that truth, when shared honestly, can break barriers. Obama understood the pain, the history, and the hope that Traoré carried. This was more than diplomacy. It was a moment of human connection, raw, real, and unforgettable. In that quiet whisper, Ibrahim Traoré shared a burden few dared to voice. He spoke of forgotten promises, the aid that never came, the voices silenced by politics, and the generations left to suffer. For years, African nations had been caught in a cycle of hope and disappointment. Traoré's words carried the weight of all who had waited in silence. He wasn't just speaking to Obama, he was speaking to the world. His truth was painful, but necessary. It was a call for honesty and respect. Obama's reaction shocked many. A leader showing tears on such a public stage was rare, but it revealed something profound, how vulnerability can break through walls of indifference. In that moment, power shifted, not through speeches or policies, but through raw human emotion. Traoré's whisper reminded the world that behind politics are people, people who suffer, hope, and dream. That brief moment of connection sparked something bigger. News of the whisper spread like wildfire. Social media exploded with messages of support and curiosity. People everywhere debated what could have been said, but more importantly, many began to listen. African voices grew louder, proud and united. Traoré's courage inspired a new wave of awareness and empathy. The summit became more than a meeting. It became a turning point. As the summit continued, the memory of that whisper lingered in the air like a silent storm. Leaders spoke, cameras rolled, but no one could forget what had just happened. That brief exchange shattered old narratives. It forced the world to confront uncomfortable truths about Africa's past and present. And it showed the power of courage, the courage to speak truth to power. Traoré's bravery in that moment became a symbol of hope for millions. Ibrahim Traoré wasn't just a man standing tall on the world stage. He was the voice of the forgotten. His whispered truth carried the dreams of a continent longing for justice, respect, and change. His tears, silent but strong, were the tears of every mother, every child, every person who had been overlooked. And through it all, Traoré remained humble, steady, and determined to fight for his people's future. The world watched as Obama wiped his tears, humbled and changed, and the story didn't end there. Traoré's words sparked global conversations, movements, and a renewed hope for Africa's future. But now, the real journey begins, with all of us. If this story touched your heart, if you felt the weight of their truth, please help share it. Like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to join a community that believes in courage, honesty, and change. Your voice matters. Together, let's honor those who speak for the voiceless. Let's make sure this moment is never forgotten.